You know, there have been a lot of odd pairings in the past, but I think Father Gabriel and Rosita just really takes the cake for me. They just seem to have clashing personalities. I don't see why they would fit together, and if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go wash my eyes out really fast. What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 9, Squeeze. So I'll be honest, this one was set up a lot more intense than it ended up ending. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of moments in this where I felt like somebody was going to die. Honestly, based on the setup of this episode, it kind of felt like somebody probably should die to make it feel a little bit more realistic, narratively speaking. I didn't necessarily want any of these characters to die. I guess Magna is probably the least interesting to me right now. But everybody else, I was hoping they would all make it through. But when I think about this show and I think about the dangers posed by being stuck in a cave with all of these walkers, realistically, somebody should probably die. And I had that feeling throughout most of the episode, so I was kind of on edge waiting for something bad to happen. But I'll be honest, that scene whenever Jerry was stuck in the tight space and the two walkers were closing in on his legs and he made it out without a bite, I will say that scene did make me go, oh no, are we actually going to end this episode without anybody dying? And that's basically what happens. Yes, Connie and Magna are stuck in the cave, so they're separated from everybody, so it looks like they're in heavy danger, but they're still alive. Everybody technically is still alive right now. I feel like for the situation that they were stuck in this episode, for everybody to make it out without dying, it feels unrealistic. It feels a little bit more like Fear the Walking Dead, where people are stuck in these impossible situations and just somehow manage to get out of them with no rhyme or reason. You know, Jerry, he's a bigger guy. So the fact that most everybody else is having trouble squeezing through to get out of this tight space that they're in, I don't think he should be able to make it out, and he does anyway. Kelly, we know, is dealing with a busted ankle right now, so having to hop from rock to rock with all of these walkers trying to grab at your feet, and then on top of that, she trips on the first one. I'm sorry, she should be dead, but she's not. And even for Connie and Magna at the end, they have no way of knowing that the explosives are about to go off. So I feel like after they took out the two Whisperers that were there, they should have started running to the hole, which means they should have been closer to the explosion, which means they might have gotten caught in it. So there are just moments like that throughout the episode that, again, I feel makes this show a little less tense. Yes, we lost Sadiq a couple episodes ago. That's kind of been it. That's the only feeling of danger, and it's because there was a spy in Alexandria that took him out. But for anybody that's actually going out and doing this dangerous stuff, it almost feels like every time they're in danger, they just get out fine. There's not really been any sort of issue. Again, Kelly, without her hearing, is getting snuck up on by a walker a couple episodes ago with its hand right here by her head, and somehow she gets away fine. So as dark as it sounds, the fact that everybody's still alive at the end of this episode does bring it down a bit for me. I will also say the scenes between Alpha and Negan, a little odd. Negan brings his suspicion of Gamma to her, which he's right, and then she doesn't believe him, but then next scene, it seems like she does believe him. And then the following scene, she's taking him out so she can have sex with him. It just seems like a very odd progression from she's threatening to cut his balls off because he's accusing Gamma of maybe being a spy, and then 2 scenes with them later, she's having sex with him because she believes him. I don't know how we went from... I know she got the information about Gamma, which then convinced her that he was right. But even then, this feels like a quick jump that sort of comes out of nowhere. So I don't know what's going on there. Again, with Negan, I don't think he likes their way of life. I don't think he actually buys into this. So is he just playing this part to get close to her so he can take it down from the inside? Not necessarily saying he's doing this because of our main characters and because he wants to help them, but I really don't think he thinks their way of life makes sense. It's not what he wants to do. Again, in this episode where most of them don't talk, he can't shut up. So I'm assuming that he is trying to just take them down for his own personal reasons, probably. So is he just going this far to try to get on her good side so he can continue to maybe sow seeds of doubt? I don't know. But the final thing to talk about in this episode is Carol, because obviously she gets a lot of the focus in this one. I don't remember if she's talked about being claustrophobic before, if we've seen her be claustrophobic before. But the scenes between her and Daryl, it shows once again that this, I know some people may think it's more of a relationship, but honestly, their sibling relationship, it's very strong. You can see Daryl wants to be there for her, but she keeps pushing him away. And I will say that scene where he finally gets her to open up a little bit and convince her to come to him with her problems is a very nice scene. I hate the fact that the writers made her go back on it not that long later, to the point where now she's the one responsible for the cave-in. I hate whenever writers do that. You have a scene that builds up a character, Carol finally opening up, finally talking to Daryl. Maybe she's finally going to change. Nope, she's not. A few scenes later, she's not. And again, I get it. I understand where she's coming from. Even Daryl talks about that. How if he went through what she did, he'd probably be doing the same thing. But there's only so much grace you can give a character whenever what she's doing is clearly hurting the people around her. And we all love Badass Carol. I'm probably one of the biggest fans of Badass Carol. But for most of this season, we've seen that the way she's been going about it has not been working. She's basically focused on revenge to the point where Alpha's using that against her now. She shows up in the middle of the woods, forcing Carol to chase her and fall into this trap because she's so blinded by rage. So that final scene whenever she's breaking down and trying to force Daryl to tell her that it's all her fault, I don't feel that. It feels more like she's trying to make people feel sorry for her rather than actually wanting to accept responsibility for what she's done. And for me, that just takes down her character so much. I think I've said this before, she's one of my favorite characters on the show, but man, I'm starting to dislike her so much because of this episode, because of what she does, because she goes back on everything she said before. And from a writing standpoint, I don't really understand how that's supposed to make sense. Why give her that scene with Daryl? I just think unfortunately it really weakens her as a character. Hopefully they make her better here soon, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, that'll do it for this one. It was kind of all focused on just the cave-in and then Alpha and Negan getting closer. But we'll move on to the next episode, so I'll see you guys there in just a sec. And now episode 10, Stalker. So I'll be honest, whenever Beta first made his move, I was about ready to just rip into the show. Because the grave falls out and we see a hand pop up. I'm like, did people seriously not check to see if the bodies were killed all the way? Because I think it was the grave of the older woman that Dante was looking over. So there was a part of me that was like, well, I guess maybe Dante just didn't take her out. Like didn't finish her and just buried her and said, oh no, I'll take care of it. But surely somebody would have checked, right? So then whenever I see it's Beta popping out of the grave, I'm like, okay, so Dante helped dig this tunnel outside of Alexandria. I don't know when he had time to do that. I guess he did it under the cover of night, but you think somebody would notice that, right? But with that being said, Beta's attack on Alexandria is intense. Yes, he mostly kills random NPCs that we don't even really know. He even kills one of the guys that was beating up on Lydia, so that was kind of a win. The only big name character that is gone in this one is Laura, which I'll be honest, I didn't even remember her name. I just knew she was one of the higher-ups. So there's another character that is going to have an impact as far as her death is concerned, but from an audience standpoint, I'm not going to miss her that much. She's just sort of been around Alexandria helping out. I think she was a former savior, if I'm not mistaken. However, with that being said, I will say the one frustrating thing about all of this is Beta should be dead, because Judith manages to shoot him through the door, which was badass as hell. Finish the job. Put one through his head. Even if he isn't wearing a bulletproof vest, you still put one through his head anyway just to be done with it. Why is it, all right, come on, everybody out, just to give him a chance to get back up and fight again? I don't really understand that, and I don't know if Mary is like, well, I don't want to kill him, or maybe she doesn't want the kids to see. I don't know. It just seems odd that you wouldn't take out this extreme threat as soon as you get the chance. And him knocked out because he took a bullet to the chest, I think that's a good time to do it. But it does give Mary a chance to sacrifice herself to prove to everybody that she is trying to help them. But moving on the other side of this is we see Daryl going up against Alpha. It's another instance where I have to wonder, did Daryl know that one of these people was Alpha? If he did, and the fact that he didn't go after her first and put an arrow through her head, it begs a lot of questions. Because again, for the Whispers, yes, it's not like they're just going to all fall apart without Alpha, but she is the one heading this group. She's the one that's been shown to be very intelligent. She's the one that's been shown to be so intimidating that people want to follow her. So if you take her out, it doesn't matter who steps up into that role next, they're not going to be as successful as her. I feel like if you take out Alpha and Beta, that kind of dismantles the group. So if Daryl knew that this was Alpha before he attacked them and he didn't go after her first, I've got a lot of questions. It doesn't really make any sense. I will also say a one-on-one fight between her and Daryl, I don't think she should have the upper hand, but she does manage to get a few slashes on him, which discombobulates him. She does hit him in the head area and blinds him a bit. So that does give her a little bit more of an advantage. But I think initially, I don't think she should be able to get the one-up on him. Honestly, for me, Daryl shouldn't really be able to be taken down by pretty much anybody, maybe Beta, because Beta's a brute. So I can just see him out-muscling Daryl, but Daryl's a fighter. There's not really anybody that I expect to be better than him. So the fact that she does manage to technically win their 1v1, I don't think that's super realistic. And again, part of that might just be because they cast somebody who doesn't really look like they're that strong. But whatever the case, the final scene with her and Lydia I did think was a good payoff for Lydia. We don't really know what made her decision for her as far as who she's going to side with, but I like the fact that she does choose to help Daryl. The message she scrawls with the knife, "Your way is not the only way." I think it's very fitting, and it's a good moment for Lydia, and hopefully it's the start of her managing to get the one up on her mom. And also it makes sense that she would not want to kill her mom, even though it would solve a lot of problems. It's not like it's Daryl or Carol in this situation. It does make sense that she would not want to take her mom out, so I'm okay with that decision, and I think the final conversation between her and Daryl, it's setting up for an interesting partnership. I don't know what they're going to go do. I'm assuming maybe try to get into the cave. Maybe Lydia has some knowledge about the cave that can help him out. But I think that about does it for this episode. The stuff with Gabriel and Rosita, I'm just not really interested in. And their questioning of Mary, I think if I liked Father Gabriel more as a character, I would find some of these lines very badass. But to be honest, I don't know why. I just can't really connect with him for some reason. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because he's had so many moments where he's made weird decisions or he's been a coward. He's gone against some people who trusted him. So maybe that's more so on me that I just can't seem to get a lot of those past episodes where he did betray somebody or he did do something stupid. I can't get that out of my head. But because of that, basically most scenes with Father Gabriel or Rosita, I'm just not really interested in. I kind of tune it out a little bit, to be honest. But that'll be it for all of my thoughts. So with all that being said, cue the outro. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that review. I hope you enjoyed it. First and foremost, please leave your thoughts in the comments down below. I love having discussions with people, so whatever your thoughts were, whether you agree or disagree with me, please leave them down below. Obviously, no spoilers. Also, if you did find yourself enjoying this review and you want to see more, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out. I also have a gaming channel as well as a channel where I talk about soccer, so if you want to give those a follow as well, that would be much appreciated. And lastly, if you want to help me improve upon the quality of these channels, I do have a Patreon. All of this is in the description below. With all that being said, I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to y'all later. Peace out.